Gary Stretch in his first world title challenge. Some people say that he's nothing more than an overblown light middle, but he's trained for this fight like never before. He's been to America. He's got a terrific corner man in the shape of Freddie Roach, who works with Virgil Hill and Marlon Starling. The record, well, as a middleweight, it's pretty meaningless. He's only fought 2 full middleweights, Eduardo Contreras and Dennis Cronin, both incidentally Eubank opponents. He's beaten them both, but he's never, ever met a middleweight of Chris Eubank's caliber. The Rocky theme, and it really would be something out of Rocky if he were to win tonight. A lot of people are predicting an easy fight for Chris Eubank. I do not see it like that. I think Gary Stretch will give him a lot of trouble. Jimmy, let's get a word from you about how you see this one going.
Well, basically, you know, this is Gary Stretch's biggest fight of his career. I remember all that's on a totally different subject. He come to London as an unknown amateur, knocked out George Collins, when Collins was 67-0. It's a different situation tonight. Gary's never fought, as you said, a middleweight of the strength and someone who's been in the division with the longevity of Chris Eubank. And Gary's going to have to box above anything he's ever produced before. But I'm sure he's going to give it his all.
Barry, what sort of a fight do you think it'll be?
I think Gary Stretch will have to hit and move and try to outbox Chris Eubank. If he starts trading with a full-blown middleweight that comes down from a little under 13 stone, he's going to come on stuck. So he'll have to move for the first few rounds. His pluses is the fact that he's a southpaw and they'll be awkward, but he's got to get on his bike if he hopes to last in this fight. But inevitably, Chris Eubank will catch up with him, I feel, around the 7th, 8th or 9th round.
You know, Gary's got to maximise everything to his advantage. He's 6'2", his physical difference, and he uses distance and his jab, and the fact that he's a southpaw to his ultimate advantage. That's very important for Gary Stretch to do tonight.
The man they love to hate, Chris Eubank, with another guard of the Brighton B-52's American football team. Well, there's no doubting who the crowd, the majority of them, want to win. They want to see Gary Stretch beat this man, Chris Eubank. Don't get the idea that Eubank is without support, far from it. But being the man he is, a lot of people have come here tonight in the hope of seeing him have his first professional defeat inflicted upon him. I don't think so. I'll nail my colours to the mast. I think Eubank will be too strong. I think it may take him a little time, 7, 8 or 9 rounds maybe, but this is the man that I'm tipping to win. No bias, I just think he's a better fighter.
You know, another question that's got to be answered. Gary looks cool and relaxed at the moment and pumped up for the job in hand. Chris Eubank has been there before, and you never know until that bell goes just how you're going to react. You know, I'm hoping that Gary Stretch doesn't freeze, but he doesn't look like he's going to, looking at his image at the moment.
Unbelievable atmosphere here. I'm sure that we'll see Chris Eubank do his usual routine of vaulting over the top rope to get into the ring. You see Barry Hearn just in the background there. His last title fight he had Ronnie Davis, Brendan Ingle in the corner. It's a useful corner. There he goes.
The ultimate Chris Eubank.
Gary Stretch is fired up for this one. There's Ronnie Davis in the ring with him. Eubank. The Eubank stare. Let's hear from our MC, Alan Hughes.
Ladies and gentlemen, promoted by Maxim in association with Giant Promotions and sponsored by the Daily Mirror, we are proud to present the main attraction of the evening. A middleweight contest at 11 stone 6 pounds, over 12 rounds, each of 3 minutes duration, for the I.WBO Middleweight Championship of the World. The judges for the contest are New Jensen of Copenhagen, Mike Gleaner
Well, the officials being introduced, I can tell you the referee is Tony Orlando from New Jersey, refereeing in his 16th world title fight tonight. And the judges, Mike Gleaner from Chicago, Bob Balu from Miami, and Knut Jensen from Denmark. They score, the referee doesn't. We have a 3 knockdown rule, 3 knockdowns in a round, it's all over. There is no mandatory count.
And introducing to you in the red corner with the black shorts, the challenger for the title, the former undefeated middleweight champion, 20 wins and 20 contests, Gary Stretch!
And I tell you, if you thought the atmosphere at the NEC when Eubank fought Ben was something, this is something else here at Olympia.
And his opponent in the red corner with the black shorts,
I'll second that.
26 wins from 26 contests.
Well, he's hardly the people's champion, is he, with a welcome like that?
Although there's a lot of booing, there's a hell of a lot of noise, and make no doubt he's got a lot of supporters.
On the way in at 9:45 this morning, Gary Stretch scaled 11 stone 5 pounds.
Tony Orlando calling them together.
6 pounds.
A little bit of eyeballing. That's Freddie Roach there with the glasses. He's fought Hector Macho Camacho. Took him to a points decision. That can't be bad.
Fought them all, one of the best super featherweights in the world, lightweight, hell of a fighter, and an even better coach apparently.
So we hear this is 12 rounds boxing for the WBO middleweight championship of the world. Round 1. Stretch can't wait.
Here we go.
Remember, Stretch a southpaw. Right hand, right foot forward.
Already he's making the wrong moves coming forward, because he's taller, bigger target for Eubanks to fire at, and he should be using his height and getting on his bike. That's the way to beat Chris Eubanks, is to get on your bike and steal it, and throw good body shots on your way back, which is very difficult to do, I know, but that's the way you got to beat him. He's got a solid chin.
Well, he'll need it, because Stretch took a good left hand from Eubank. We know Eubank's chin from the Ben fight is terrific.
I'm saying Eubanks has got a hell of a chin.
Yeah.
Stretch has got to be tested at the middleweight division. Oh, I hope it doesn't turn into a nasty fight.
Naughty. Timeout from Tony Orlando. Eubank says, oh, I don't really care about that. They don't like each other. You've probably gathered that, haven't you? Now, let's not have any silly shenanigans.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if it was turned into a nasty roughhouse fight.
But they're both so fired up for this.
Incredible atmosphere.
Unbelievable, indeed.
Good right hand from Eubanks. Stretch shook his head, but I think he hurt him there. He's got to get in his bike, Stretch, if he hopes to last here. Eubanks is the bigger puncher and bigger guy.
Stretch the taller, but Eubanks so solid.
Stretch, I'm surprised, looked a bit shaky there. Eubanks obviously hurt him with that right hand. This fight is not going to last long, Dave, if Stretch continues with these tactics.
Well, he's fighting the sort of fight that Eubank would love him to fight. He's coming to him. The crowd getting behind the champion now.
Always difficult to jab a southpaw, so obviously Chris is going to have to land that right hand and left hook. He's going to have to come forward, which he doesn't like to do if Stretch decides to go back. But up to now, Stretch wants to have a fight with him.
And Stretch lands his first meaningful shot, a good right hand.
Already Eubanks is looking for the kill, and he's hurt Stretch. Good right hand and solid left hook after. Eubank desperately wants to look good tonight after the disappointment of the last fight.
Well, the last fight cost him 10,000 quid and a fine. That episode against Dan Sherry. And, well, we don't want to see that again.
Stretch has actually cut behind the ear.
Behind his left ear, I've never seen that before. How do you get cut behind the left ear?
Into the first round.
Good opening round, everything you'd expect from a world title fight.
Here we have the shenanigans from Chris. He should sit down in the stool and take the 60 seconds rest. Very dramatic first round. They went out there bombing, the both of them, looking for the kill. Surprised by Stretch's tactics there, came out looking for a fight. Should have been sticking that jab out and trying to steal it and get on his bike. But he's been given a good telling off in the corner here. Maybe they're going to try to change the tactics in this next round.
Yes, Tony Orlando going over to both boys and saying, look, fellas, let's cool down. And that's good refereeing from the American. Jimmy, that was quite some opening round.
Absolutely. When you've got two trained athletes and it's been a long build-up, the press conferences, etc., etc., there's a lot of hype and nervous energy, in fact, that's come out in the opening round. I'm sure both boys will settle down now and do the tactics which is required to win the contest, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Well, first blood literally to Chris Eubank. Stretch cut behind the left ear. I'm still baffled how on earth that happened. Still.
No matter how fit you are, if you fight that nervous energy for too long, you'll soon go tired. You've got to relax and do the things that come natural and box smart.
I suppose there's such a thing as being too fired up.
Absolutely. You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. You can try too hard and you can get to the fourth round of a 12-round fight and really start worrying whether you can go the distance rather than winning the contest.
Well, this is Eubank's third world title fight. Beat Ben, beat Sherry. And don't forget he's had a couple of international contests as well. Oh, a good right hand! And that sends Stretch back on his heels.
It's a good shot. Perfect answer to the southpaw, straight right hand. And Stretch jumping back in, trying to take the play away.
And brings over a good left of his own.
Both boys concentrating on the body. Both banging to the body.
Yeah, and Stretch at the moment playing the matador to the Eubanks bull and making him miss.
Now, Gary's got to maximise what he's good at, which is boxing. Work behind the jab and try and frustrate Chris Eubank in a similar fashion to Dan Sherry did. That could be his ticket to winning the contest. Not in a slugging match. Eubank's been a middleweight for a long time. He's very strong at the division. And it'll be hard to shift in a gun battle.
We do hear tales that Eubank has desperate trouble making middleweight. That was no knockdown, that was just a slip. And I can remember how aggrieved Chris Eubank was when he thought he just slipped over and the Ben fight was giving a standing 8 count.
I'm looking around the ringside and seeing two top middleweights, Watson and McCallum, discussing the way it's going, and everyone's excited about this one because it's warming up now. And the question I wondered whether Stretch could freeze. He certainly hasn't.
And Eubank quite cleverly crouching down, making Stretch punch down to him, and once again nails him with a right hand.
Good right hand. Stretch is in trouble.
And that hurt him, and that wobbled him. The knees nearly buckled then. Yes,
Stretch got a few cobwebs in his legs now. He got caught bang on the chin. Needs to stay calm. Go back to his boxing.
And you do wonder, and you have wondered in the build-up to this fight about the wisdom of 11 months out of the ring and straight into a world title fight against a pretty useful world champion.
You know, the other thing, Dave, is, you know, the weigh-in was at 9:30 this morning. I'm sure Chris Eubank has put on a nice few pounds since then. He's a big middleweight.
Is getting through, and I thought for one moment though that Stretch's legs had gone towards the end of that round.
Half a dozen times through that round, 2 times very solidly. What surprises me with Stretch is he keeps coming looking for a fight. His legs are absolutely useless in this fight. He hasn't used his legs in any way. He hasn't used his jab. He hasn't tried to move. He's just trying to fight with Chris, and he's going to come unstuck. There's no question about that. And I'll tell you what, it nearly happened here. That right hand right down the pipe. Look at the staggering in his legs. His legs don't look good in this fight at all, and he's been hurt several times. And the fact is, I don't even think that, you know, that he's going to be able to use his legs and use his tactics like he has been doing in previous fights. He's not using the right tactics for this fight at all. Like, you watch for a bit of action in this round. Eubank knows he's not using his legs, and he's going to go looking for him.
Ronnie Davis giving the final instructions for the start of round 3. Eubank, for my money, in control at the moment.
Stretch has been trying to hurt Eubanks and look for a bit of respect, but that hasn't happened. And if Nigel Benn can't hurt him, he certainly can. And he's getting nailed with right hand to the body, right hands over the head, left hooks. And Eubanks looked very sharp here, very quick and very accurate, which is most important. Again, watch Stretch. Look, coming looking for a fight, not trying to flick with that jab. It's always difficult to jab a southpaw or to get past a southpaw, but he's not using that big long reach advantage that he should have. He's just coming looking for a fight. He's shuffling forward, using the wrong tactics completely.
And Eubank all the time with that right hand of his cocked, ready to throw.
Eubanks loves people to come at him. He looks good when people come at him, and he's looked good so far. Landed some very solid punches.
Well, there's no doubting that this is a brave and courageous start to the fight.
Beautiful left uppercut, absolutely gorgeous. He's in trouble here, and we're only halfway through the round.
Comes back, tags Eubank. How long, you wonder?
Courageous, but you wonder how silly that. You know, there's a thing about being brave and a thing about being foolish, and I just wonder, is he being brave or is he being foolish? And in fact, it looks very much like he's going to come unstuck fairly soon. This Eubanks is punching very solidly, really hitting hard.
On the other hand, Stretches a ship 2 or 3. He's still there. That was a slip again. Stretch hands it up a little bit. A la Sherry, why not?
This is a much more professional performance by Eubanks. He's keeping his composure a lot better. He's not being unruffled by all this tactics of Stretch. And fair play to Stretch. He's really looking to have a fight with Eubanks, but I feel it's the wrong tactic. Could be wrong.
Well, he's fighting a hell of a brave fight as Stretch, but as you say, Barry, you do question the tactics. Well, you lose count of the number of clean shots that Eubank is landing. But no counts yet, no knockdowns.
And you wonder how long he can take those, because Eubanks is a solid puncher. He hasn't landed a real chilling punch just yet, but he's landed a lot of good ones.
I'll tell you, not for 12 rounds can Stretch take that. End of the round.
There we go. That's a world-class shot right at the top drawer. Anyone would have been proud of that. I'm sure Chris Eubanks will be when he studies it at a later date. You know, Gary Stretch has got to go back, get on the back foot, feint and kid, and forget about being macho. He's got to concentrate on boxing the right type of fight and being smart. You can't match it with a stronger punching Chris Eubank. Crazy.
Well, they build this as the beauty and the best. Some thought the beauty and the boast might have been more appropriate, bearing in mind Chris Eubank's verbals. It's living up to it so far. It's been a good fight. But Eubank pretty firmly on top, I'd say, Jimmy.
He's been very, very sharp from the opening round, a lot sharper than in his last contest when he seemed to strut around for 2 minutes of every round. Today he's got off from the gun, and as you said, he looks very sharp, particularly with the right hand. And throwing good body shots as well.
No, you can't hold on to the rope and then wing your man, Tony Orlando, who is having his work cut out.
I think Gary must have had instructions from his corner to go back to his boxing, because this is a smarter round from Gary Stretch, just boxing, keeping it long and not looking to have a punch up. Smart tactics, but the obvious ones as well. They've had to slow down the electric pace. That was a must. Starting to think about picking their shots a little bit more now. For how long, I don't know.
Once again, the challenger on the receiving end. A little shake of the head in frustration then.
Yeah, a little mind game between the both of them. Good shot from Stretch that time. Caught Eubank with a screwed long right uppercut.
Yeah, do not get the idea this is all one-way traffic, because it isn't. It's just that Eubank is getting through with the cleaner shots, and he's getting through with them more often than the challenger.
Now, when Stretch keeps it long and boxes smart, you could give Chris a few problems, but it's whether he can stick to the game plan.
Well, I must admit, that was the sort of fight I thought he would fight, try and keep it at long range, stick and move, but I don't know, maybe that was what his corner wanted him to do. Maybe enthusiasm got the better of him in the opening rounds.
You know, he's got to live up to the word professional now and be professional, because if he's going to win the contest, the way he's going to do it, he's not going to blast Eubank out. You know, big punches like I.WBO have failed. And Gary wants to stick at picking and clocking out the points and thinking about a decision. This is a better round from Stretch, incidentally.
Indeed. Oh, another good right. Stretch shakes his head. Didn't hurt me. That means you did hurt me. Forget all the showboating. Now, Eubank aggrieved.
This fight has really got the ingredients of being a classic. There's another tremendous round, although not as many punches thrown from either side. But Gary Stretch boxed smart for most of the round, but still got nailed there right at the end of the round with a big right hand from Eubank.
Barry, until he got nailed right at the end, that was a pretty good round for Gary Stretch.
For the first time, he's used his head. As Jimmy says, he's not going to unload and out-punch Chris Eubank. He's got to pick his punches, throw nice fast shots, bounce in, bounce out again, and that's the only way he's going to win this fight, by stealing it. Yeah, this is another right hand from Chris Eubank. And what I haven't been impressed with is Stretch's legs. His legs are not working tonight. He hasn't been moving the way he can move. And maybe it's because Eubank has hurt him in the earlier stages in the fight. Stretch is an uphill struggle here. He was very badly hurt at the end of that round. And I just wonder how much longer he can keep taking those punches, because he's taking an awful lot.
Little suspicion of a nick on Eubank's left eyebrow. Freddie King was working on it in the corner between rounds. Got Freddie King and Ronnie Davis and Brendan Ingle in the champion's corner.
What you get from Stretch is maybe half a minute of a nice bit of boxing, then gets drawn back into a slugfest and starts trading with Eubanks, which is absolutely suicidal with a puncher like Eubanks, and he can't afford to do that. I admire his courage, but it's silly. He's got to use his tactics. He's got to... Obviously, his ultimate aim is to win the world title, and he's not going to win it that way. He's got to get on his bike and start out punching Eubanks. This is much better for him. But again, you see him trying to out-punch Eubanks, and he's not going to do that.
And that was wild from Eubank, and he very nearly paid for it. It was sensible to stay tucked up, because he was very nearly an open target there as Stretch came in.
Eubanks is very confident. Look at the concentration in his eyes as he gets close to Gary Stretch. He never takes his eyes off him, just watches his eyes, watching his every move, watching his hands. Another good body shot.
That was a little low, yeah. Tony Orlando says keep him up. And 10 out of 10 for Gary Stretch, not doing the dying swan and going down there.
No complaints there, that's nice. Eubanks has got to stay away. That's nice work from him. Or, sorry, Stretch has got to stay away. That's nice work from Stretch. That's nice. In and out. Nice fast punches. Use that awkward right jab. Just keep popping it at Eubanks. Eubanks is going to just play a waiting game. Wait till he gets in punching range, and wait till he slows down, and then unload it with his own right hand. Straight right, and that chopping left hook.
Stretch hurt.
Stretch is badly hurt.
Really hurt for the first time in this contest, and hangs on.
It's a much better performance by Eubanks, much more controlled. He's picking his punches very well. And watch how aggressive he's been. Again, he's been more for low punches, and that's fair enough.
And another nice touch, a little touch of gloves between the two boys. Forget all the ballyhoo beforehand. They have the utmost professional respect for each other.
I see blood coming down Stretch's head. I wonder, is he cut on the scalp?
It could be, could be. A smear on his forehead.
You see Eubank setting him up for that long left hook. coming shuffling forward, trying those body shots again.
It's a terrifically gutsy performance from Stretch, whatever happens.
No question about that. That's another a better round for Stretch. For the first time, he hasn't been hurt in the round.
Well, he's taken 1 or 2, and all right, he hasn't taken a count.
Corrected, Jerry, you're right. Or, Dave, you're sorry, Dave, getting it all wrong. I stand correct. At the end of the round there, he was hurt with the left hook. You're right.
He did. Well, we're going to see a couple of the shots.
He complained to the referee, and that was actually one of those solid left hooks. That's when he... Watch his legs. Legs look a bit shaky there, no question.
Well, he's certainly a darn sight stronger at middle than he was at light middle, and although he hasn't gone down yet, Jimmy, he's wobbled, and you get the feeling that there's a feeling of inevitability that sooner or later, with just one of them, maybe one not even as hard as the others, the cumulative effect will tell, and he'll go down.
Yeah, and the longer the fight goes, the more that's likely to happen, because that's when the strength will really start to tell in the second half of the fight. You mentioned earlier about Eubanks' concentration. That, for me, is his greatest asset. Tremendously strong in the mind, and keeps on the job perfectly when he's in there.
Now the referee has deducted a point from Gary Stretch for pushing his man, and that is, well, he needs that. Stretch deducted a point for pushing his man to the canvas. Oh, a good right hand! He's in trouble now. Ace down. It had to happen.
The strength of Eubanks as he opened up there was something to frighten people.
He's up at 8.
Stretch is in big trouble now. He really doesn't know where he is. And Eubanks will be looking to finish
gone. He's gone. He's out of the ring. He's almost on top of us. We're seeing the end. He's up at 8.
The bravery of Gary Stretch.
No, it's all over.
Stop the contest.
It's finished. The Stretch dream is over.
Yeah, that was it. The last combination by Eubanks. It was going to happen sooner or later, but you could see it coming. Stretch used the wrong tactics for the fight. Came here to have a fight with Eubanks. Wrong tactics. Eubanks came out on top, and it was going to happen sooner rather than later. And an excellent performance by Chris Eubanks. Finished it cold and clinically, and it was a perfect performance. Very clean and very accurate.
Well, I'm sure you'll see a happy Chris Eubanks being interviewed now, because he was very disappointed with the Sherry escapade and the way things ended. But tonight, I'm sure he's redeemed himself to the public at large. Tremendous performance.
We were saying that the cumulative effect had to tell.
That's that right hand just at the end there. And Stretch was really badly hurt. Eubanks just coming in after him and hitting him with just glancing punches, but that right hand had done the trick at that stage.
He's a great finisher. When he gets a man in trouble, he's too classy a fighter to let him off the hook.
Never recovered from that punch.
The man is still champion of the world. As a matter of interest, Jimmy, did you have Eubank well ahead on points at the finish?
Yeah, I think you've got to have had Eubank in front. He was sharp right from the very off. Gary had his moments, but basically Eubank defended his title like a true champion. Tremendous bravery from Gary Stretch.
This was the last knockdown, Barry.
Yeah, this is it. He really never recovered from that first right hand. That was just the finishing punch. He clubbed him around the side of the arm, but he wasn't able to pull himself back in. Stretch. He was gone from that first right hand. A very courageous performance, man. Used the wrong tactics, but you got to hand it to Chris Eubanks. He put on a very clinical performance tonight, picked his punches very cleanly, and finished the job in style.
And once again, we have to give credit to Gary Stretch, who put up a wonderful show.
Absolutely. He really came here to fight and to give the crowd value for money. He said he was going to fight. He didn't back off and try to outbox the guy or try to steal it. He came here to have a war with him, and that's what he gave us.
10 out of 10 to Gary Stretch. Absolutely gave it his all.
Stretch never did scale the heights despite that valiant effort. A win without controversy for Eubank. That didn't happen often. We'd seen the best of Gary Stretch, but not of Chris Eubank.